everyone, I am so excited to share this with you all. I've been working really closely with my team at Ava Women, and we have decided to launch a video series where we can share insights and hopefully open up a meaningful dialogue amongst women. When I was first trying to get pregnant, I was shocked at how little I knew about my fertility. It quickly became a passion of mine to seek out information and to be a voice for women looking to become better connected with their bodies. We wanted this whole thing to be a really interactive process, so we reached out to you for questions regarding women's health, fertility, and pregnancy. Now, I've reviewed the questions with Ava's team of researchers, and we've come up with solid science-based information for you. We received such amazing feedback, so thank you all for your questions. In the interest of time, we couldn't get to all of them today, but we want this to be an ongoing and collaborative conversation. So if there's a topic you'd really like us to discuss, please let me know in the comments. I think there are a number of ways that women can feel less isolated following a miscarriage, and I'd also like to offer some personal advice on healing. Firstly, it is so important that we normalize miscarriage. It's not some rare occurrence that happens under extreme circumstances. It is so common. Up to a third of pregnancies end this way. That's not to say that it's not sad, that it doesn't have devastating physical and emotional effects. It does, but if women can understand that this happens so frequently, it may help them to feel less ashamed, at fault, or silenced. When you suffer from a miscarriage, you become a member of a club that nobody wants to be a part of. But when you get there, you realize that there are some loving, supportive, and kind women waiting with open arms. Often when you open up, you realize that there are others that have been through the same situation that you didn't even know. Your friends, your colleagues, sisters, maybe even your mother has had the same experience. There's also an incredible community online and many support groups filled with women who are willing to share their stories and offer support. I also think it's really important to lean on your partner if you have one. This is not an individual experience, and it's not something that should be faced alone. I personally relied heavily on my husband following my miscarriage. I leaned on him for love and support on the days where I didn't feel like I could face the world on my own. Finally, I think it's so important for women to allow themselves the time to heal. There are significant physiological changes that take place following a miscarriage, and your hormone levels drop dramatically, which can have a huge impact on your mental and physical health. It takes time for those levels to stabilize. Women shouldn't feel like they're in a rush to be normal again or to recover. It's more important to acknowledge and honor the need to heal, to allow grace and understanding for ourselves and hopefully from others. PCOS is actually one of the most common causes of infertility. 1 in 10 women has this condition. And while you can absolutely get pregnant with PCOS, it can be much harder. Women who have PCOS don't ovulate consistently, so it can make it much more difficult to track when you do ovulate. Now, while the current version of Ava hasn't been tested on PCOS or irregular cycles, they are in clinical trials right now. The way that the whole thing works is that it uses a machine learning algorithm based on physiological parameters to determine when your most fertile window begins. Now, this algorithm was trained on cycles from 24 to 35 days. So if you're outside of that range, it won't be able to accurately predict your fertile window. It can still be really useful though for things like tracking your temperature, your resting heart rate, your breathing rate, your physiological stress, and sleep. So many people assume that ovulation alternates from side to side each month. It's not actually true. It's a lot more random than that. So after an ectopic pregnancy, even if you produce an egg on the tubeless side, it can sometimes manage to descend on the side with the remaining tube. People presume that the fertility is cut in half, but actually it operates more at around 70%. So while Ava hasn't specifically been tested on women with one tube, it's likely that since you're ovulating more than 50% of the time, it should still work normally for you. Implantation bleeding. There is a big myth out there that light bleeding or spotting in the days leading up to your period could be an early sign of pregnancy. The idea is that the bleeding comes from the embryo implanting in the uterine wall, but there's actually no scientific evidence to support this, and there's a good deal of evidence to counter it. First of all, the embryo is teeny tiny, so there should be no physiological reason that it would cause bleeding, cramping, or any symptoms whatsoever. And another thing, spotting in the week before your period is actually pretty common. It happens in some cycles and not others, and it's caused by normal hormonal fluctuations. While spotting can occur in early pregnancy, it's actually more likely to occur in cycles that don't end in pregnancy. Now, with pregnancies that do have bleeding early on, it's not likely to be on the day of implantation. All of this suggests that implantation bleeding is just a big myth that has become popularized by the internet somehow. Our culture has a long history of thinking of men's bodies as the baseline and women's bodies as the variant. There are all kinds of infuriating examples of this, like drugs being tested on men, but the same dosage recommendations being given to both men and women. The result is that we understand male physiology far better than we understand female physiology. And in our culture, anytime we don't understand something, it allows for myths, taboos, and rumors to be spread. For example, when women are on their period, they're thought of as hormonal, but in reality, male bodies are equally as influenced by hormones as female bodies. We just understand the male bodies better, and we think of women as different or strange. I also think that there's far more pressure placed on women because we are the ones who have to carry and birth the children. If for some reason we can't do that, we're perceived as damaged. This creates feelings of shame and inadequacy and causes women to remain silent about their struggles. We really need to challenge this stigma in order to create an open dialogue for women. Being pregnant has been difficult for me. I thought I would be glowing and happy all the time and embrace the changes because it's something that I wanted so badly. But in reality, I've found it tough. I've suffered from anxiety, tremendous discomfort, and the 9 months has felt more like 10 to 12 years. But I am so grateful that I'm carrying a healthy baby. I hope that I'm blessed with the opportunity to do it again sometime. I'm pretty sure I'm going to forget the pain of it at some point. I've already forgotten how awful the first trimester was. Not really, I remember. But it's been a challenge, but a challenge that I feel strong in taking on and grateful for the blessing. That's it for questions today, but if you want to learn more about women's health, Ava has a great blog called Ava World that posts all kinds of informative content about women's fertility. And of course, the Ava bracelet is a great way to get better connected with your body. It works while you sleep by tracking 7 key physiological parameters to give you cycle insights in real time. It's a great resource to have if you're trying to conceive or if you just want to learn how your menstrual health affects your overall health. I've linked to Ava World and Ava website below. Make sure to check it out. Now, all the information that I have given to you today has come from Ava's highly qualified team of researchers, but everybody is different. So make sure that you always check with your doctor with questions or issues regarding your health.